Good evening. This is Maestro with the Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. Today, we've got yet another full faction war series, and this one's going to be between the Orks and the Space Marines. We're going to start off on Sto Province, and our first player today is going to be Volhrim, playing as the Freebooters Ork War Boss. Yeah, it's been a long time since I had a chance to do my awful pirate accent, but seriously, this skin is actually criminally underused. Came with Retribution, or maybe a DLC for it, and it's great. Anyway, Warboss is a tanky, aggressive melee hero who can charge and disrupt. We've got yet another Warboss, this one played by Cenzontotochtin. And the final Ork player will be Daddy Waroth, playing as the Mech Boy, ranged commander who can also teleport and repair vehicles. On the other side, on the Space Marines, we're going to have Taneli playing as the Space Marine Force Commander, tanky, disruptive melee hero. Next up, we're going to have the White Power Ranger playing as the Apothecary, healing commander. And finally, we've got Redbeard playing as the Tech Marine. This is a ranged commander with a gun for every occasion and the ability to support vehicles with repairs. So our first game, if I didn't already say it, taking place on Sto Province. We do have tactical marines. They do look like they're in cover, but they also look like they're being shot from multiple directions. But it just looks like with how many Space Marine units we have here that our Ork player is going to have to retreat. In fact, this does look like Daddy Waroth is being doubled by both Redbeard and the White Power Ranger. So, Cenzontotochtin not with the confidence in his Ork play, kind of the way these faction wars work out. Players, of course, sign up. They usually sign up with multiple races, and of course, you know, the most popular races are Space Marines and Chaos. And it can be a little bit harder to find players willing to play other races in this game, because everyone wants to be a power armor boy. Anyway, we are going to see Sluggers try to get into melee, but they will take too much damage and they will need to get out of there. And we already see the War Boss upgraded with the Boss Pole. What an early upgrade to see this. I feel like you don't see this that early, but that is why we see those orange circles around the different Ork squads, since that boss pole is going to make allied infantry in radius 25 receive 50% less suppression and 20% increased health. Yeah, I don't think that's a good position for those shooter boys. They may still be in trouble, one model down, but I think it does have enough health that it will get out of there alive. But that is a rather decent amount of bleed inflicted on that squad. Unfortunately, the garrison was never really going to be the choice. There were just too many units, too many Space Marine units around there. And that Ork squad was also just a little too low on hit points. Meanwhile, we are going to see generator bashes happening down on this side. We are seeing one squad of shooter boys upgraded with their big shooters, and there is the second squad of shooter boys also being upgraded with the big shooters, just because of the raw DPS that you get out on a shooter boy squad, and the fact that they're often bought in pairs. They tend to just be very, very good at bashing generators, despite not being a flamer kind of unit. What they aren't good at is tanking ranged fire from tactical marines, and as much as those shooter boys can do so much damage, they definitely can't take a lot of damage. So you could kind of say that they're a bit of a glass cannon unit. And we are going to see the White Power Ranger upgraded with the Purification Vials. We saw those used to great effect in the Eldar series, so I wonder if they'll be used to great effect here. But for now, let's see what effect the Boss Pole is having on the approach of the Sluggers and the War Boss. Oh my god, is that going to be a wipe on the that's a wipe on the Tactical Marines. Unbelievable. I'm really, really surprised, and I think Taneli is too, and he actually should probably lose his Force Commander here too, with the way, yeah. I mean, double Sluggers. We've got burners upgraded on both of them, and aside, of course, from, you know, the impact that has on generator bashing, that also gives 2 power melee weapons, since the burner models have power melee. I don't actually understand that. That's never actually made sense to me, but that's how it works. So that is going to make them quite a bit better at fighting against tactical marines in melee. Squad of shotgun scouts is coming in here, going for the shotgun blast instead of the grenade. They do, I mean, they're ripping apart that Slugger squad that only has 2 models left. Eventually, though, they do get back up, and they'll even be able to finish off by smacking the generator with the burners instead of lighting the generator on fire. We are going to see generator bashes happen on this side as well, with a tactical marine squad upgraded with a flamer. We're going to see a full power farm rebought, though. Sluggers will come in, will be a shotgun blast. Then we are going to see the Sluggers roasted alive by the Flamer. But here is also the Warboss attempting to get in. Yeah, he unfortunately, even with all the damage resistance he gets from Ard Boys there, and also use the Angry Bits, he just can't get through the suppression from that devastating Marine squad, which also will do more damage the closer the Warboss gets. We are also seeing fully upgraded Shooter Boys here from Cenzontotochtin. Shoot a knob as well as those big shooters, but it's just not enough to deal with the fact that right now he is up against 2. And Daddy Waroth is here, but I mean, he's got the mech boy in pretty much by himself. We did see a use of the purification vials, but I actually didn't quite see close enough just how effective that was. Double tactical marines from Redbeard, in addition to his tech marine having the mastercrafted bolter. The mastercrafted bolter is not a significant DPS increase over his standard bolter, but we did see the use there of the high-powered shot. It is a rather high single target damage ability. I believe it does 140 DPS. Sorry, 140 DPS sniper, as opposed to piercing. And on a lot of these weaker infantry squads, that can be enough to kill a single model. And then the suppression on that squad is also quite powerful if you have some follow-up DPS from additional squads, such as these double tactical marines. Double tactical marines in a little bit of trouble, though. Warboss once again in here using Ard Boys. But we also saw the use of the Angry Bits, or the Warboss Charge, the Now I'm Angry. I've said 3 different names for that ability until I finally got it right again. This time he came in from more of a flanking angle, so it was more successful. And Taneli is... He's in a bit of a rough spot. So I think he's going to need some help, and I think that's why we might see the White Power Ranger moving closer to a little bit on this side of the map. Will, of course, give him some experience, usually a battle level, but instead he's choosing to target the generators, so not ready to help out his teammate just yet. If anything, I feel like this would be a good time, as long as Taneli is moving in. Oh, we've got Tier 2 for some of our Ork players. Already have the Power Claw from Volhrim. And I would say, so far it does feel like Volhrim has been doing well. He was the one who had that wipe on the tactical marines, as well as the incapacitation of the force commander, but now he is getting doubled, which is going to make his life a bit tougher. That does, however, give some players on this side a little bit of room to move out. So now we've got Cenzontotochtin trying to move out. And on this side, we are going to see a squad of Shooter Boys taking a contested power node. Weird Boy purchased for Daddy Waroth. And I think we're going to see, are we going to see the power farm taken? Yeah, power farm will be taken rather than destroyed. Devastator Marines will set up to cover that power capture at some point. Okay, they're outside. The Shooter Boys are outside. They're just outside of the firing arc. And now they just barely get in. Although that might have been more targeting the Warboss. Meanwhile, we also have a Razorback out from Taneli, which right now I think that is that's relatively uncountered at the moment. Mech Boy is also incapacitated, so he won't be able to deal with that. That would be the most readily available counter, and we are going to see a squad of Tank Busters bought for Volhrim. He's also going to just run at the Razorback with the Warboss, but that should result in the Warboss being incapacitated. He just did not have enough health for that approach. Meanwhile, although the Razorback is nice and relatively uncountered, he wants to get these tactical marines inside because they're at the point where they should start losing models, and he does get them inside. And now he can kite both of the Slugger Boy squads, even with all their high power melee and melee damage. They just won't really do enough significant damage to a Razorback, especially if he can kite them and put out and significantly outtrade it. But are we going to get hit by... Are we going to drive into Tank Buster rockets? We're driving into Tank Buster rockets. And we're at the point where only a single barrage will finish off. Single volley. So Tank Busters now don't really have a real target. Missing the squad of tactical marines. But the Shooter Boys that are in green cover are not. Shooter Boys move out of cover so that they can target the tactical marine squad with the Flamer, which is not returning fire. No reaction here from the White Power Ranger. Probably has his attention elsewhere. and I hear a call of a Dread. Redbeard with a Dreadnought out on the field. Not surprising, given that he's playing as the Tech Marine. There is some Purification Vials from White Power Ranger, but they are dodged by Volhrim. Volhrim deciding to back off here. Since he is kind of being doubled, we have both the Apothecary as well as the Force Commander down in this bottom lane. And we are going to see also a War Truck come out from Cenzontotochtin, already upgraded with the Reinforced Plating. War Truck also coming out from Volhrim. War Truck for Volhrim will facilitate taking down the Razorback, since we might see the Truck Buster combination of the Truck Busters inside the War Truck. Tactical Marines, unfortunately, I don't like this approach by the Tactical Marines, just dropping his micro kind of thing, and the use of the Tank Buster Barrage to knock down the Devastator Marine Squad allows the Sluggers to get into melee, and that could actually be a wipe on the Slugger Squad. Needs to be Shotgun Blast and a retreat. The micro is just not there, so he loses the Devastator Marine Squads, or the one squad. Rather unfortunate. Slugger Boys actually being super oppressive, nearly taking down the Shotgun Scout, but I think they do. This is so close! And the Shotgun Scout squad just barely gets out alive. Meanwhile, the Razorback going to be in a little bit of trouble. I think it's now out of range of the Tank Busters, so that will keep it safe. But now it's driving back up again. Don't drive into any more Tank Buster rockets. Meanwhile, our Ork players over here do have a Death Dread, also upgraded with Burnas. There's Cenzontotochtin's War Truck, and here is a Assault Cannon Barrage, giving a few Slugger models, but I don't think it wiped any squads. But I think, nevertheless, that the presence of this Dreadnought is really doing some favors to the Space Marine players at the moment. That Dreadnought is just so powerful. Oh wow, that was super close. War Truck took a rear armor shot from a missile launcher from a Tactical Marine squad, nearly died, had only 1,300 hit. Sorry, what am I talking? 1,300. Had 19 hit points. Those are two totally different numbers. Burna Slugger on this side. Sorry, Burna Death Dread on this side will allow the completion of the Generator Bash, especially with the support of the Shooter Boys. And it looks like we're seeing a potential retaliation come out from... Oh no, the Weird Boy had marked target on him. He might still die. Oh my god, that was so close. 3 hit points. That would have been so sad if he died. But it's also going to be really tricky keeping him alive against that Tech Marine with the Signamor. Marked target increased the damage he took there. Very nearly died, especially from that long-range burst of the assault cannon from the Dreadnought.
Enemy's taken one of our requisition points.
Tank Buster Barrage goes in to actually knock down the Devastator Marine squad. What other response are we going to have here? So there is Slugger Boys coming out of the truck, but they do get knocked over by the Shotgun Blast. That also paves the way for the Tank Busters to approach, scare off the Razorback, and this is going to be a 1 engagement, I believe, for our Ork players. Stone Guard veterans trying to switch their ammunition to do more damage to all these Orks, but I think they're just going to get overwhelmed. Assault Marines, meanwhile, we're seeing things go down. So one of those War Trucks does go down. So actually, overall, it's definitely still a winning engagement for the Orks, but a little bit of... Oh, no. Well, you know, as I say this, somehow the Orks won that engagement despite losing 2 units, lost a War Truck, lost a squad of Slugger Boys, left them in melee with these Assault Marines. Assault Marines are just going to jump away from that War Boss who has plenty of hit points. Actually going to jump in on the other War Boss who does not have many hit points, but does have Ard Boys, as well as those Slugger Boys having Use Your Choppers. This is actually the Assault Marine squad in a huge amount of trouble. They get a heal from the Apothecary, and they do get knocked down, so the Assault Marines will be okay. Meanwhile, I think I hear Devastator Plasma shots going in. I can't even tell what these Sluggers and the War Boss are targeting. And there's a Force Commander who you couldn't even see in there. Devastator Plasma does knock over a Slugger model, but doesn't kill it. This slugger squad actually still looks like it's in trouble. 80 hit points. All right, it's going to be fine. If there was maybe an assault cannon barrage on retreat, that could have possibly been the wipe on the squad, but we didn't see it. Looks like he had plenty of energy, so I don't know if maybe just didn't use it or didn't think of it himself. Would be kind of hard to hit, though, the assault cannon barrage in retreat, since the assault cannon barrage does have a pretty significant wind-up, and you're just targeting a static location. So trying to hit a unit in retreat, there's actually a pretty good chance that you could just whiff entirely and then just have the ability on cooldown with not much achieved. Missile launcher tactical marines taking out generators, while both the Dreadnought and the Razorback just put in a lot of range damage on the shooter boys. I mean, both of these units together just do so much range damage from these vehicle platforms, with the Dreadnought just being such a tanky vehicle platform, and the Razorback just being a highly mobile one. Dreadnought can pretty much just kite that Warboss. Sorry, not Dreadnought, but the Razorback can kite the Dreadnought instantly. Or, that was not the word I want. Infinitely. Dreadnought actually, by comparison, cannot kite the Warboss. It does have to worry quite a bit here, but the Warboss, unfortunately, not quite doing what he really needs to do. He's not winding up his melee attack. Instead, he just keeps on charging in with his shooter. And he doesn't achieve much there, and could actually... No, I don't think he goes down. He's got too much health, but still. Very little achieved by the Warboss there. And that was something where it's like, I don't know... I almost don't want to blame Micro there. That seems more like just the way the game works did not seem to work right. I can't believe we actually had that sync kill. I wish I had gotten a better camera view of it, but it just happened so fast. That, of course, is the coolest sync kill in the entire game. Anyway, Mech Boy getting knocked down, and he is not going to survive there. Quite sad. Our Space Marine players starting to just bulldoze over these Orks. And that is actually the concede. I mean, it's actually kind of strange, to me, at least from a spectator point of view, it seems strange to see that concede, given that we actually see that the VPs are still even. Volhrim may have lost a lot of units, but, I mean, there's still time to work with. Feel like he still could have bought more units, but I don't know. I guess they just felt they couldn't do it anymore. I mean, I guess it was tough. We do have Terminators from 2 Space Marine players, and the disruption from these double whirlwinds was being pretty oppressive as well. That being said, this is not the end of the series. Got at least 2 more games, but it is going to be a 1-0 lead for our Space Marine players. Stay tuned for the next game. Alright, game number 2 of our Faction War series is going to take place on Garvey Ice Gate. Space Marines are up 1-0. Let's see who we've got on our Ork side. We're going to start off with Daddy Waroth playing as the Ork Mech Boy yet again. Ranged teleporting commander. Cenzontotochtin will be an Ork Warboss. Disruptive, angry melee commander who can knock things down and charge. And finally on the Orks, we're going to have Volhrim, this time playing as the Ork Commando Knob. Sneaky Ork with guns, knives, bombs, etc. Their opponents, we're going to see Taneli playing as the Force Commander yet again, my favorite model, which I often describe as the Force Commander with toothbrushes on his helmet, tanky, disruptive melee hero. Redbeard playing his signature Tech Marine at this point. This is, I mean, I've seen his Tech Marine so much. I've been on the receiving end of this Tech Marine long ago in the past, and it has not been pretty for me. Ranged commander with a gun for every occasion and can repair. And finally, White Power Ranger is going to be the Apothecary yet again, a healing commander. So let's see what our Ork players can do to try to come back into this game. Tactical Marines, gonna be in yellow cover, up against the Mech Boy as well as a squad of Shooter Boys. Tactical Marines can tank here a pretty long time, especially now they're getting the passive healing aura from the Apothecary, and eventually they will probably just get the, the active heal if they need it. So I do feel like our Space Marine players have had the better end of doubling, but now it seems like we're going to have the double in return, the 2v2 with the approach from Cenzontotochtin from the side. I actually feel like this looks like it's favoring our Ork players now. We do have Slugger Boys in melee with the Tactical Marines. They're going to need a heal soon. There is the heal, but they might still, they're still in a position where they're probably going to lose models, and they do have to retreat. So it was just an overwhelming approach from our Ork players. Shotgun blast from the scouts knocks over the shooter boys, but this is still a rather massively won engagement for our Ork players, especially if this is going to be a squad wipe, and it is. And I think that is Redbeard. You know, this always happens. I talk someone up, and then they prove me wrong. We are going to see scouts go down for Redbeard really, really early, and they had a shotgun. So early generator bash from our Orks. So it looks like part of their answer trying to come back into this game is some Ork aggression and some generator bashes to go with it, since Orks usually have pretty high starting DPS early on, and the approach from the war boss also just draws a lot of aggro. You have to deal with him being on your back line, deal with him tying up your units. And that approach was so early that we saw shotgun upgrades like come in the middle of the fight. One of these squads of shooter boys does need to get out of there really, really low. This other squad of shooter boys also really, really low. Needs to get out of there. Oh my. Down to just one model. But stronger start for the Orks now. Lead in VPs, lead in economy as far as power is concerned, with this power node not even being capped by the Space Marine players at the moment. Uh-oh, I don't like the scouts leading the charge there. Alright, they do take a heal, so actually that approach is nullified, but that also puts the heal on cooldown, so the Apothecary won't have it for a little while. Mech Boy turret, you don't see that very often, and I have a feeling you won't see it for that much longer, since it has been circumvented already by the White Power Ranger, but it looks like he might be prioritizing a Power Bash instead, which is understandable. Meanwhile, we do see that Ork War Boss again being rather oppressive, already upgraded with the Angry Bits again. Grants him the Now I'm Angry ability, just got it right the first time. And that ability it's just such a gap closer with how far and how fast he can go with that Now I'm Angry ability. And you can really avoid taking a lot of unnecessary damage, at least just from trying to get in. Of course, you still have to deal with, once you do get in, you're still definitely vulnerable to taking damage and getting focus fire, especially if you go in deep. Also depends on how much support you have. And then aside from just being able to get in, there's also the disruption. It knocks down. So that will shut down tactical range fire for a bit, and then they've been gotten into melee by the War Boss. War Boss at this point will be moving out though, and unfortunately the Apothecary just going in too deep. Talking about too deep, we saw the Apothecary in too deep. I mean, that Apothecary, although he does fight in melee, he is not a tank per se. I mean, arguably you could say that, like, if he uses his heal on himself, then he does actually have possibly even more effective hit points than a tanky melee hero. But often using the heal on the Apothecary is not really considered an ideal use of the heal. Typically you want to use it on either Tactical Marines or Assault Marines. Since the Apothecary, he's not really strong enough or powerful enough to really get a whole lot of done with the heal used on himself. So yet more Ork aggression coming out of Volhrim, no K in his name. He does have quite a bit of units now at the moment, but not all of them are here to support. He does have some Storm Boys, also affectionately known as Bleed Boys, for how much they can bleed, given how relatively squishy they are in comparison to other jump units, especially something like the Assault Marines. But they do plenty of damage. Oh no! Oh no, that grenade was not dodged. Oh no, Bleed Boy is going to be bleeding. Actually, this is the first model they lost, and they're actually able to jump out, so that's quite good. This squad of Storm Boys actually really did not bleed that much. They're going to bleed a little bit more, though, if they stay in here any longer. I think he needs to retreat them now. Lost another model. That's a shame. He might lose another one. No, he's going after the Mech Boy. At some point, he's going to have to deal with the Ludas. Do the Assault Marines have a jump? No, they don't. Not at the moment. Scouts kind of hiding around, kind of scouting. But more is happening up here with the Commander Nom. Rather low on hit points, but he just does have the support of the Luda. What is the Luda doing, though? Messed up its firing arc, and now it's the devastating Marine squad taking the advantage. Is a stun bomb going to go in? Is that what he's waiting for? Because that's going to be the commando knob probably going down. That was actually pretty close, and he still does go down. Oh no, the shooters go down too. Just way overstaying his welcome. That really is sad. Don't lose the Ludus too, please. Ooh. That was unfortunately really, really sad. Volhrim just putting on that Ork aggression, but losing both his commando knob and a squad of shooters so unnecessarily there really, really hurts to see it. Devastator Marine Squad will at least slow the advance, but here is the Mech Boy teleporting in. Mech Boy teleporting in doesn't do a huge amount of damage, but, I mean, just, he's going to stop the Devastator Marines from shooting, and that's really all he needs. Actually, wow, well played by White Power Ranger. It does not take the bait of retreating the Devastator Marines. Eventually, he gets some support from his own units, and he actually just backs up the Devastator Marine Squad without retreating it. Well done. Staves off an entire generator bash. We are going to see Cenzontotochtin approach in the top lane, looking for a double. Oh dear, this could be rough if the Tactical Marines... Okay, not going for the Tactical Marines, because instead we've got Assault Marines jumping in on Cenzontotochtin's army. Here is the Purification Vials. Or no, it's just a regular grenade. I think a squad was killed there. Okay, no, I think he got out super lucky with this squad of shooter boys. These have been some money grenades from our Space Marine players. It's hard to actually tell which one of them has done it, but it was still just... Both grenades that I've seen so far have just hit super hard. Shooter boys are going to need to get out of there, and they will retreat. So luckily for the Ork players, Cenzontotochtin does get a revive on Volhrim. But both Ork commanders are rather low on hit points. And no, I don't know if I want to see this. This could be a dead war boss. Alright, he does activate Ard Boys, but again, his health is just so low. And then once you retreat... Yeah, I didn't like that. I think both of these squads, they just need to go. Whoa! Stun is nice. Use your choppers is not. But I think part of that's like some miscommunication, because the Storm Boys belong to Volhrim, whereas Cenzontotochtin is our war boss player, so he's the one who activated Use Your Choppers. So Cenzontotochtin, thinking that Volhrim is committing to actually attacking the Tactical Marines, puts Use Your Choppers on Volhrim Storm Boys, but Volhrim was just trying to get out of there, and just hits the instant retreat. Meanwhile, potentially less interesting things happening on this map with an entrenched Devastator Marine squad covering for a generator bash, which is happening on the node first. Oh my god, do we have stick bombers? Stick bombers not killing a single model, but nevertheless, you know. This is actually the first time I've seen this unit in 2020. And by in 2020, I mean since 2017. I actually forgot that this unit even existed. Alright, so Space Marine Generator Bash happening, and our Space Marine players looks like they're coming back into this game. You know what Redbeard just bought. He's got a Dreadnought. And of course it's already got an Assault Cannon on it. Meanwhile, Whirlwind out for White Power Ranger. And... it does feel like our Space Marine players are starting to come back into this game with all the squad wipes we've having, the miscommunication I just saw there between Cenzontotochtin and Volhrim. Volhrim calling the need for AV. We got 2 Ork players already going to Tier 3, which is kind of surprising. Because they're going to have to deal with this Dreadnought. I mean, I guess certainly one thing that could be really good against the Dreadnought is a squad of knobs, especially given the fact that this is a ranged Dreadnought. My god, though. Just the Dreadnought's getting so much value. Just seems like Redbeard will just always buy that thing. And why not? It does damage. It's hard to kill. He's playing as the Tech Marine. He can repair it without even having any repair unit near it. And of course, what else do we see? The Signum armor from Redbeard. Calling to bottom. What else do we see? There's the Signum Armor in retreat. Oh my god, that's going to be the wipe on the Slugger Boys. Signum Armor and the Mastercrafted Bolter, or rather the high-powered shot used on it. Just killing that squad right there. What other upgrades do we see on our players? We do have Thunderhammer Force Commander again from Taneli. We did see, of course, the awesome sync kill on the War Boss last game. We have already seen these Purification Vials from the Apothecary, and he is also upgrading to the armor of the Apothecarian. And that armor of the Apothecarian, described as jumpy, also choppy infantry. Seems like a little mistake in the tooltip there. But that armor of the Apothecarian, I've long not wanted to admit it, but I think that this war gear is actually pretty busted. And by busted, I mean I think it's extremely good. And I think it's really the best armor war gear the Apothecary has. Meanwhile, our Commander Knob is completely unupgraded. We already have seen Cenzontotochtin with that, certainly with the Angry Bits. I don't know if I saw him actually with the Power Claw before, and Daddy Waroth with the Battery Pack. Grants the Avatar stability, a healing ability for the Mech Boy. But there is another Assault Cannon Barrage going in. Mech Boy will just have to retreat. Stun Bombs going in from the Stick Bombers. Might as well call them Stun Bombers. Engagement going in on top. Devastating Marine firing in. Oh no, goodbye, Storm Boys. They died before they could bleed too much, at least. That's the silver lining there. So we are going to see that War Boss going after the Dreadnought. And, I mean, the thing about this, the Dreadnought can't do a whole lot about the War Boss doing this. But the War Boss is also going to accomplish this very slowly. And it's also going to be mitigated quite a bit by that Blessing of the Omnissiah from Redbeard. Again, just part of that synergy, part of why you just buy Dreadnoughts with the Tech Marine. Assault Cannon Barrage doing quite a bit of damage to this Slugger Boy squad. And are the Assault Marines going to target the Slugger Boy squad? I don't know if they can really wipe it, but they can definitely get models. Like, they could definitely kill one or even two of those Slugger models. Probably wouldn't get the Nom, but could have gotten some model kills there. And the Stick Bombers, oh no, what are they doing here? Is that like some kind of special attack from the Stick Bombers? They just like flew up into the air. Stick Bombers down to 2 models, getting smacked around by that Dreadnought. They stand absolutely no chance against the Dreadnought in melee. And now they might die. Oh my god, that actually killed them. They had like 170 hit points, but that's the effectiveness of Marked Target and the Dreadnought. Just so much damage. And now our Space Marine players actually now have the victory point lead. Despite that early aggression coming out of our Ork players, getting those early generator bashes, our Space Marine players have brought themselves back into this game. I don't know if rushing Tier 3 was really the choice for these Ork players, although I will say at this point it does look like the Dreadnought will go down, and it does. So small victory for our Ork players, but they're about to have a triple gap against them. And are they going to be able to dislodge? Are they going to be able to dislodge these Space Marines? We are going to see Whirlwind Missiles, again, disrupting all of these Orks. We are going to see also that Marked Target. Grenades going in as well. The map has been painted red. This victory point has been painted green with the Purification Vials. And we're attempting a decap from the Mech Boy. We still have a squad of Assault Marines in here. A squad of Scouts actually in trouble, but does not really get focused down. And it's also going to be a squad of Tank Busters just barely getting out with 25 hit points. Everywhere I look, it seems like there's a squad of Orks retreating with like 5% of their hit points, and it really just seems like the Space Marines have taken control of this game. We are going to see the approach by the War Boss. There, I feel using the Angry Bits is not super necessary, or rather the Now I'm Angry ability. He was going to get into melee with those squads anyway, and those are 2 squads that were not doing a huge amount of range damage. I mean, Tactical Marine's decent, but definitely not enough against a War Boss with the Angry Bits.
We got it, boss. We got it. What do you want with me?
Lone squad of Flash Kits infiltrated, get in behind this devastating Marine Plasma squad, and this is super underwhelming. That was not the play. That was really disappointing. I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know. Like, look, where's the damage? Anyway, Mech Boy in melee, still just with his default shooter. No weapon upgrade on our Mech Boy at the moment. Alright, Flash Kits coming back in. They do have blasters this time. Hopefully, yeah, alright. They're doing quite a little bit better with those blasters. Mech Boy getting knocked over by that Plasma Devastator shot. Ooh, the War Boss. Does he die here? Alright, I don't think he dies, but he does retreat, so he doesn't die. And we are going to see blasters on the Flash Kits make short work of the Devastator Plasma Squad quite a bit better than their starting... I don't even know what the special name is for the shooters that they had starting out. What's this going to be? Terminators? Drop pod. Drop pod. Oh, with a Venerable Dreadnought. That's a Venerable Dreadnought. Oh, man. Now, Venerable Dreadnought can't be upgraded to an Assault Cannon, but it is quite a bit tankier. At 1,750 hit points. And does give that engagement over to our Space Marine players. Space Marines, that means Space Marines are going to maintain the double cap when they already have such a significant victory point lead. Decap on the power at this point is almost an afterthought. And of course that's why it's the end of the game. So, unfortunately, it's going quite rough for our Ork players. They started off promising in this game, but now their backs are up against a wall because the Space Marines have a 2-0 lead. There is at least one more game in this series with a possibility of 3 more. So stick around and let's get ready for Game 3. Alright, game number 3 going to be taking place on Ark City, an injured specialty. We've got a few player switches, but we've still got Volhrim here, but this time playing as the Ork Mech Boy, teleporting a ranged commander who can also repair vehicles. Nimmsi is going to be subbing in for Cenzontotochtin, playing as the Ork Warboss, tanky, angry, disruptive melee hero. And finally, we're going to have Daddy Waroth, this time playing as the Commando Knob, sneaky Ork who can use bombs, guns, knives, etc. On the other team, Taneli this time will be taking over the Apothecary healing duties. He is going to be a healing commander with burst heals, heals over time, healing aura, etc. Next up, we're going to have Acey coming in, playing as the Dark Angels Force Commander with those toothbrushes on his helmet. And finally, guess who it is? It's Redbeard playing as his Tech Marine yet again. I wonder if we'll see the Signum Armor, the Mastercrafted Bolter, and the Dreadnought. We'll see. So, it's do or die for our Orks. And we're going to see some Apothecaries trying to make some Shooter Boys die on his way into melee. He is going to be taking some damage, though. At some point, I guess we'll probably see the heal on the Apothecary. Mech Boy will teleport into green cover, and then he's kind of supported. So he kind of has... he's attacking from multiple angles, and this one squad of Shooter Boys isn't even really being targeted. He's going for the Tactical Marines, but I almost feel like he should probably go for the Scouts, who don't even look like they're fully in cover, but he just isn't quite in the position to do that. Actually, now he does focus a squad of Shooter Boys on the Scouts, and the Scouts are getting to the point where they might lose a model. They get a heal instead, so heal is used on the Scouts. So that means the Apothecary is moved back in a position where he can't really be focused, but it means he also doesn't contribute much. He's going to move in a little bit now. I guess now that they had the Shotgun Blast, forced off a squad of Shooter Boys. Shooter Boys only had one model left, but the Apothecary now will be wiped. Yeah, the Apothecary just can't really do that against Sluggo Boys. If he does want to do that, we might need to see like different upgrades, like either those Purification Vials again. One thing we haven't seen in this series, but I mean, would be an option for that kind of situation, is Purification Rights. So you like get that knockback simultaneously with a heal. Oh, simultaneously, what a Space Marine word. Here's the Mech Boy just going to be smacking together a turret. And there it is. It's put up. The Ork turret. Let's see how that does. I feel like it's very flankable, but we'll see just how effective it is. Maybe we'll even see Def Gun at some point on the Mech Boy from Volhrim. Or maybe we won't. but here is going to be Slugger Boys getting a natural requisition point away from the Space Marine players. Meanwhile, down in the bottom, the Commander Knob is by himself on an island. This could be a wipe on the Commander Knob. It's close, not enough. Yeah, I think I was wrong there. Bad judgment. I thought maybe Tactical Marine melee as well as the close-up shotguns from the scouts could have been enough to wipe him, but it was not. Meanwhile, over here, there is 2 turrets. I didn't realize 2 turrets. So actually, he's got overlapping firing arcs because he's got 2 turrets. One turret is being... I was going to say the Force Commander was going to get in there, but... oh, that's a squad of scouts down for Acey. But how well can our Space Marine players hold on to this? Oh, wow. Attempted a revive on the Apothecary. Couldn't keep it going. Had to get the Force Commander out of there. So the Apothecary is still down. And our and we do have that death gun. So right now it's basically triple suppression. The only problem is now the actual Orc squads are getting overwhelmed. But here is the support from Nimmsi. Jumps in the Storm Boys on the Devastator Marines. Devastator Marines have not reacted. They really need to be really careful about that because Storm Boys actually do power melee damage and they do a massive amount. If you don't react to Storm Boys on your Devastators, they can wipe the entire squad. Especially if they have used your Choppas. But at this point, I think the use your Choppas were arguably a little misused. Although Storm Boys, as good as they are, as powerful as they are in terms of their raw DPS, they are notoriously bad at killing units in retreat. And we are going to see our Space Marine players actually take the natural victory point away from the Orks. I actually just want to take a quick closer look at this guy. Man, he really does look nice. And eventually he should win against the Tech Marine just by virtue of having so much more hit points to start out. Throws in a stun bomb. No reaction from Redbeard, so he's going to let the Tech Marine get stunned. And of course, there's that Mastercrafted Bolter yet again. And against Orks, it's not surprising at all. Since, you know, a lot of Orc infantry squads just have regular infantry armor, squishy models that can be killed by that high-powered shot, and also these aggressive melee squads that can be suppressed and controlled by the high-powered shot as well. So that's just going to be a retreat from Redbeard. I don't think he even sustains any significant losses. Maybe he'll take 1 Tactical Marine death here, but I don't even think it's going to happen. So actually, very well timed by Redbeard there. He really did not overstay his welcome. He stayed for exactly as long as he was welcome. Grenade goes in, but that time doesn't achieve much. Ard Boys on the Storm Boys. And we still see both turrets active up at the top victory point to give the Space Marines control. Assault Marines will jump in on a squad of Ludas, but they're jumping right into the Orc turret, except for the fact that they're now around the firing arc. So Assault Marines kind of trying to decide whether or not they will continue chasing the Luda squad. Luda squad has not reset up yet, but it can reset up. But the Assault Marine jump has scared off both squads of Shooter Boys. So this is now okay, but here's the support from the Storm Boys. Storm Boys jump in, and that's enough to scare off the Tactical Marines as well as the Assault Marines. 1 Tactical Marine model went down. Meanwhile, shotgun scouts around there. So these turrets have been pretty oppressive, or at least been very good at keeping control of the victory point for our Orc players. So this control style of play. Now, what should eventually happen is at some point, you know, we get to Tier 2, and Tier 2 is when we're going to start to see stronger counters to this turret come out. This is a building, so usually any kind of anti-vehicle weapon is going to be strong against buildings. So Missile Launcher, Tactical Marine, Las Cannon, Devastator will make it quite a bit more difficult for these Orc turrets to maintain their effectiveness. And eventually I do feel that we are going to see the turrets be dislodged. And the Orc players will need to think of something else to maintain control. But what they have bought themselves a pretty significant VP lead. It looked like he was trying to get this Luda squad inside the firing arc of the turret, but it was just ultimately just taking too much damage and needs to get him out of there. Now, of course, the Mech Boy, he can just teleport out there really easily. And here we're seeing the limitations of that Orc turret. Despite all the shots that it took, it didn't really stop those assault marines from getting in range with the mech boy. And finally, I think actually before we're really even in tier 2, one of these turrets does go down. I think that's actually got to be both turrets going down. So actually, those turrets kind of dislodged even without things like missile launchers. Just played well enough that he was able to get around the turrets, get around the units protecting the turrets. Apothecary will be revived here. We are going to see the Wa Banner is not taken down. Okay, Wa Banner is still up, but Slugger Boys are just going to be overwhelmed here. They're in against way too much. And Slugger Boys, if they're... Okay, I was going to say if they're targeted by these Assault Marines, but those Assault Marines need to retreat themselves. And this will finally be the Space Marines taking control of the top victory point. But they've lost 200. It's a 200-point victory point deficit for the Space Marines. Acey has also seems he's lost a bit in terms of units, or maybe just never bought that much, because he definitely lost a scout, at least one scout squad at some point. He's got the Vanguard, sorry, the Stern Guard veterans as well as the Assault Marines. He's getting a librarian. Meanwhile, you guessed it. Take a look at what Redbeard's got. It's a Dreadnought again. How soon before we see that assault cannon? How soon? Razorback coming out from Taneli. And we are also going to see the Death Dread out from Nimmsi. Death Dread already upgraded with Burnas. Going to be targeting that Force Commander. And Force Commander decides he just wants none of it. Force Commander, meanwhile, looks like Force Commander has no upgrades either. So he's not even going to be that great at disrupting the Storm Boys. Unless he does commit to the Thunderhammer. We'll see if that happens. So Dreadnought actually still does not yet have the Assault Cannon. But I feel... Oh, he's going for the Multi-Melta. Wow. Very interesting to see that. And a little surprising. You know, we just saw how much value that Assault Cannon got in these past 2 games. I was really, really expecting to see it again. But, you know, let's see what happens with the Multi-Melta. Meanwhile, Orks will take down this power farm. They've gotten 2 generators. Can they finish off the last one? I believe they can. I don't even think the Death Dread needs to really approach that far, because the Death Dread does need to worry a little bit. He is taking damage from some Vengeance rounds, and soon there will be a missile launcher coming in. Assault Marines do not have the Melt-A-Bomb, so they can't actually snare the Dreadnought, or the Death Dread. And meanwhile, Razorback went down. I'm really surprised that happened. Didn't seem like it was really respecting the beamy Death Gun from the Mech Boy. Very, very surprising. Grenade will go in. Minimal damage at most. Not even sure if it even hit those shooter boys at all. So Force Commander's in here. Does have the Artificer armor. He's upgrading with the Sacred Standard. I wonder if we'll see the Storm Shield and Chainsword yet again, like I've seen in... Not in this series, but in other series. Support Force Commander style. Proven to be pretty effective against Eldar. I wonder how effective it would be against Orks, though. What is effective against Orks, though, is a bolter shot to the head with 1 squad of shooter boys going down. So Dreadnought is out on the field, and it's actually low-ish on hit points. I mean, down to 580 out of 1320. It's going to need some repairs on that, and... It looked like he was trying to make an approach for the generator, but now he's actually kind of in trouble. We are going to see Storm Boys with the Knob, going to be jumping in, stunning all of these units, and that's just going to be a full retreat, while the Dreadnought will just hightail it down, back down through the bottom. Now, luckily, I think part of the way Redbeard is playing this is I think he's just hoping that the Orks don't see this Dreadnought right now. Of course, right now I'm casting with Fog of War off completely, but I think this Dreadnought is hidden in the Fog of War, so it kind of snuck away in a different path than the squads that retreated. 1 squad of shooter boys in trouble, 70 hit points, Assault Marines jumping in, mass retreats all around from Ork squads, even the ones that are not low on hit points. What is this war truck doing? Delivering some sluggers, but that's definitely going to be the end of the war truck, undoubtedly. I mean, I guess I understand the Slugger Boy delivery system, but it did not pan out. Aside from the war truck losing, or dying entirely, we also seeing both those squads of Slugger Boys having to retreat out of there. Death Dread goes down too. You know, the retreats for the Space Marine players are coming in But overall, I think that was a pretty significantly won engagement for the Space Marine players. Let's see if they can make a liar out of me by potentially taking out some of these squads. Where is the Apothecary going? Apothecary now should be in retreat as well, even though we can't see the icon. Upgraded with the customized Stormbolter to give him the full auto ability. And here we go. Stormboys jumping in against the Dreadnought, but the Dreadnought is being repaired, and the Stormboys also have marked target on them. They're just taking so much damage. 3 models down. Alright, looks like at this point the Stormboys are not being targeted, but they achieved nothing with that jump. That was rough, and they bled a fair amount as well, with 3 models lost. We've got some Shooter Boys practically in melee, trying to take down this power node, while the squad of Slugger Boys gets chased down, losing models left and right from those Stern Guard veterans. Oh my god! Nearly losing the entire squad there. So many models died on retreat. And once again, it's looking like we had a strong start for the Orks, but it feels like our Space Marine players are coming back in this. Ork players do have more squads, but I feel that's like partly inflated by the fact that we've got quad tank busters, the quad busters. Mark target going in yet again on the Slugger Boys. Oh, this is actually so rough. They're going to take so much damage. Space Marine's not the greatest at killing in retreat, and just as I say that, there is a squad of Shooter Boys going down in retreat. Assault Marines will jump in to these tank busters. So I did say, like, obviously, the Ork players at the moment have more units if you just count the number of units. But for those being tank busters, I mean, that's 4 units that are not actually good at dealing with infantry. I think at this point, this Dreadnought might be done, though. It is being repaired by the Blessing of the Omnissiah, but I think the combined firepower of the tank busters as well as the War Boss smacking it with its claw is enough, and it does go down there. So yeah, I mean, we saw the multi-melta, and honestly, I'm pretty disappointed in the multi-melta. I don't think it really had the value that the Assault Cannon Dreadnought got in the previous game. Since that multi-melta, although it is anti-all, the range is just so much shorter. And then you have... So since the range is shorter, that means you need to get that Dreadnought in closer. Since you're getting in closer, that means it's more exposed to melee units like that War Boss with the Power Claw. And then since you made it a ranged Dreadnought, it's not actually that good in melee against something like a War Boss. Can't stun, doesn't do its splash damage, which I guess doesn't actually apply to the War Boss, but would apply to something like Knobs or Sluggers, for example. Infiltrated Slugger Boys coming in. Orks going to be... I think they're going to be forcing some Space Marine retreats here. This is a lot of Ork units answering back, but we need an answer for the suppression here. There are plenty of potential answers, but here is an Orbital Bombardment. Orbital Bombardment is catching... Okay, catching some tank busters over here. Absolutely nothing over here. Not a whole lot. I don't even think it's going to kill these tank buster squads. It certainly does a decent amount of damage, but not a kill on any of the tank buster squads. Meanwhile, oh dear, this War Boss, I think, stunned out there by the full auto ability. So he will have to retreat, but overall still a 1 engagement for the Ork players. And it looks like we're seeing a call for a Land Raider Redeemer. Plans for what he's going to get, but we don't see any Tier 3 units being built yet. Tank busters will make short work of that node, allowing it to be recapped by the Orks. So Orks fighting back, and overall I would say this is probably our closest game yet. Someone's getting a death gun. It's going to be that Ork mech boy switching back over to the Beamy Luda. He's actually had that before, so it's not that new. And Orks are going to be pincered, flanked by Acey with the Force Commander. Jumping in with the Assault Squad as well is going to force off these Orks. And I think that was also a kill on yet another Ork squad. I think that was for Daddy Waroth. I think he lost a squad of Shooter Boys. We're seeing some flash kits with their blasters. Actually giving some Assault Marine models. A Sergeant even, I think. And the Force Commander sped up by the Veil of Time. Not going to be enough, though. But now he's dead and giving a 40% damage bonus to these Vanguard veterans. Vanguard veterans going to jump in, probably away from the damage bonus. A Librarian goes down as well from the Knobs. Knobs with our boys. Knobs going in. They're going to be targeting the... No, not the Scouts. Instead, they're going after the Vanguard veterans. Vanguard veterans going to use Merciless Strike, but Vanguard veterans, although they're disrupting units, they're going to have to get out of there, and they are going to be losing some models as well, probably. Yeah, there's a Vanguard model down. Is that going to be another one? Grenade in retreat. That grenade actually came from the Scouts, arguably killing a Vanguard model. And Terminators are in here. Ranged Terminators, though, going to be kind of in trouble against Knobs and the War Boss. War Boss, meanwhile, just with the Power Claw, going to be getting into melee, but now he also has Marked Target on him, so that's definitely going to be the War Boss dying. What an engagement that was, and it's technically not over with a Rocks coming in, but I don't think it's going to be a high-value Rocks. Oh, Acey even calling that he did not mean to get the ranged Terminators. So Terminators coming in. They have upgraded to Assault Cannon, so they have an Assault Cannon. Fully upgraded Tech Marine at level 6. Refractor Field, Signum Armor, Mastercrafted Bolter. Those first two I already knew, of course. Refractor Field. Not too surprising either. I've seen him get this before. So the ranged Terminators might have been accidental, but I mean at the same time they're actually really, really good against most of the Ork squads. I think the only thing they're not really good against is the Knobs, and then also maybe the Flash Kits as well. So here is the Land Raider Redeemer. Orks still with a victory point lead, but it is ticking down against them, and it's now a double cap for our Space Marine players. And this Land Raider Redeemer might kind of give the Space Marine players the control of the contested victory point, almost similar to the way the Orks maintained control of it with those turrets early on. Alright, our engagement's going to start. Range fire going to start going in against the Apothecary and the Assault Squad. We are going to see a Commando Knob now actually with the rocket launcher. Unfortunately, I think he kind of blew his load a little early there. Just shooting with the Commando Knob right there in the front. Not really getting much value against the Land Raider Redeemer. And what you guys doing? Alright. Getting a decap finally after idling for a bit. Knobs upgraded here. They do have their huge... No, that's actually huge hammers. Do have their knob. I'm actually not quite positive. Oh, okay. They got it. They got meaner and greener. I was going to say I'm not positive they have meaner and greener, so they activated the ability to let me know. Vanguard veterans though, not too bad against Knobs. Knobs have half health. They have upgraded Ard Boys or used Ard Boys, activated Ard Boys, but it's not enough. Knobs might be in trouble. Force melee and retreat. Is that going to be? That's the end of the Knobs. Oh my, that's a big loss for Nimmsi. He's even calling GG. That is rough. Signum Armor once again using Mark Target on the Slugger Boys. Defend Force Commander, is that it? Is that a Defend Force Commander? It is a Defend Force Commander. And they're just going to tank all of that range fire from the Orks. Not get suppressed by anything. No aiming, what's that? We are going to see Assault Marines jump in. They're now out of the defend range, so they can get suppressed. But, I mean, it doesn't matter. They're just doing so much work. Second jump to jump back, jump out, and get back in the defend range. They actually do just retreat out of there. Did lose a model, though. Nevertheless, they did their work, and this is definitely a one engagement. If anything, I think this is game. Because it looks like the Ork players almost just letting squads die right now. And our Ork players had a minor army advantage for much of the game. Arguably not even so, given that so many of those units were tank busters. So many of those units are still tank busters. And that is going to be a Venerable Dreadnought from Redbeard. Do our Ork players recover? No, they do not. And that will actually be a 3-0 shutout in favor of our Space Marine players. So, it turns out the Space Marines really are overpowered. I'm just kidding. Try not to take the results of this faction war too much into deciding which faction is overpowered, especially if you don't actually really play the game. If you want to know which factions are overpowered, try playing the game a little bit. But, of course, I know many of you do. Either way, unfortunately, it is a rather crushing loss for the Orks. Nevertheless, I hope you enjoyed this faction war. Have a good night.